Hello, everybody. Welcome to Into the Fatherverse. My name is Tim. I'm accompanied by Clay and Fred, and unfortunately, Trey couldn't join us today. He's doing family stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about what we've been up to, which is I've actually been up to something, so I got something to talk about. It's new. Usually, I just say nothing. Yeah, we're going to talk about the WandaVision season finale. Maybe. Did you guys watch it?
I did.
I did.
Okay, great. So we'll talk about that, and spoiler alert there. All right, and then we're going to talk about a big hack that happened worldwide, right? Or was it just in America?
No, it was international.
It was international. Wow. Okay, yes, we're going to talk about that too at the very end, so stay tuned for that. Clay, what have you been up to?
Oh, yeah, so this week is same as always. I haven't had much time to actually play some video games, which is what I would prefer to do.
Mm-hmm.
But as we mentioned off air, I actually went to the theater this weekend for the first time in what feels like a lifetime ago. So first, on Friday, it was my anniversary, so I took my wife to the movie theater, and we went and watched. There was nothing really good. At least nothing seemed to be really good on the cinema, but we were torn between Raya and the Last Dragon, which is the new Disney animated movie, and there's this movie we ended up watching that's called Chaos Walking. It has Tom Holland, Daisy Ridley, and I think what's this guy called? He's on the Kojima game. Matt Mikkelsen, I think it's his name. So yeah, we went to the movie theater. It was bizarre. Thankfully, there was no one there. We were actually the only two people at the cinema.
That's always nice. I love that.
Yeah.
So how was it? And more importantly, and I'm probably going to get flamed by anyone who listens to this, but thankfully not many people do. I think Daisy Ridley is a bad actress. Like, I don't know.
Really?
I've only seen her in the Star Wars movies, and they sucked. Yeah. Like, she was, of all the people in like the new Star Wars movies, she was the weakest, in my opinion. Like the weakest actor or actress in it.
But I haven't seen her in anything else. So was that
Same.
part of her direction, or is she just that bad of an actress?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is she like Kristen Stewart all over again, where like her Kirsten, whatever the fuck her name was?
Yeah.
Like, is it just gonna take a little while, or was it just bad?
Right.
A bad typecast.
Based on this movie, I couldn't tell you. I actually enjoyed her performance in Star Wars movies, but I don't know. I'm not like.
It came and went for me. She had her moments where I was like, "Oh, okay, this is good," and then there's somewhere it's like, "Wait, is that her bad acting, or was she told to do that?" So.
Yeah, I couldn't say because based on that, because we don't know if it's the part or it's her. But in this one, it's actually kind of tricky for me to say because there's two main reasons, right? The first reason is she was playing a character that barely speaks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she speaks for the first half of the movie, and when she does, it's like she's not very talkative. Like that's the part they gave her. So she for what it's worth, I think she performed well, but there wasn't that many not action, but like acting bits or acting scenes where she would have to flex her acting muscles, so I wouldn't know. And
so
secondly,
it remains a mystery.
Yeah, and secondly, the movie we watched was actually it was dubbed, so it was in Spanish.
Okay.
And when I don't usually like to watch dub movies, mostly because the dub actors are usually not as good as the performance the actors are doing on their main language, right? So I wouldn't say because half of the acting was by someone else. So
when you say you haven't gone to the theater in a while, is that because of just like personally you haven't gone, or was that pandemic related, or has it been like way longer than that?
Nah, it's mostly because of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
I used to go at least once a month. I actually live about 2 hours away from the nearest cinema, so I would have, like, back in the day, I would have gone a lot more if it was nearby, but since it's 2 hours away, I went like once a month, something like that. So yeah, we weren't able to go because of the pandemic. Like most theaters were closed, and they just recently opened them, and still we weren't feeling it really because of the
Right.
whole thing, right? But yeah, we watched that on Friday. It was alright. It was a serviceable movie, very entertain. And wait, I don't know what I know English, I swear. So it was. I had fun with it.
I'm
it-
new here.
yeah, it was a young adult type thing, right? But so when we started watching, I was like, oh yeah, I know how this is going to go. Like it's gonna end on a cliffhanger, and we're gonna have to wait for a whole trilogy of this crap. But no, they actually it was based on 3 books, and they managed like they changed all of it because I read the Wikipedia for the books. They basically changed the whole story to make it fit into a single movie, which to be honest, I read the
I was gonna say,
Wikipedia.
how bad did that work out, or good?
I don't know, man. Like it's mid. It's just a mid-tier movie. Like it's not nothing to write home about. But I think reading the Wikipedia page, I'm just glad they did it in one go because the extra things that were supposed to happen were sounded just boring and like every other young adult movie there is. This is basically the premise is Daisy Ridley crashes on this planet that was supposed to be colonized by humans a long time ago, and turns out there's only men. All the women are dead for some mysterious reasons that get explored later. And the men in this world have something called the noise, which is basically everything they think about gets transmitted, like everyone can see it. So if I think about snake, you would be able to see a ghostly looking snake around my head, and everything I say in my mind everyone's able to hear. So men had to get used to that, to everyone knowing their thoughts at all times. And since she's a woman, she doesn't have to deal with that. So yeah, it goes places, things happen, and it ends. And
And there's
serviceable
credits.
enough.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's credits, and then there's Tom Holland being Tom Holland.
Yeah.
You know, this 20-something pretending to be a teenager, as you do.
I just realized that I had moved my webcam, so I look like I am like holding a meeting with you guys right now. Like I got my and then my microphone looks like it's seriously like 2/3 my body.
I was gonna say, like,
That's a big ass microphone.
That thing looks massive.
Yeah, it does. Oh man, I didn't know I did that.
You look like you're missing your tie and your suit.
You're probably wondering why I called you all here today.
Okay, grab your water bottle and put it next to that microphone. Like, how big is that microphone? Oh, okay, it's a big ass microphone.
It is
Never
actually
mind.
a legit big, but the perception is much bigger than it really
It's same
is.
as-
Like,
it's
here's my
mine,
hand.
right?
I mean, yeah. Fred, what have you been up to? It's not
Oh,
a
wait,
phallic
wait.
symbol, guys. Let's move on.
I'm not done. So something else I did today, as I was mentioning, I actually went 2 times to the movie theater this weekend. Today I went and watched the Lord of the Rings re-release on IMAX, and okay, it was as good as you would expect the Lord of the Rings to be in a movie theater. It was awesome. I actually never had the chance to experience them in the movie theater before.
It was all 3?
No, it was just the first one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going,
And you're out of the theater
No.
today?
I would be dead right now. I wouldn't be here. First of all, we would have started like at 6 a.m. and we would still be there mostly. But yeah, it was. I like it a lot because I didn't get to experience that. Actually, I was a kid, so those are my favorite movies of all time. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy, and actually, I knew nothing about them when I was a kid. And the very first time I went to the movie theater, my uncle suggested we watch Return of the King. So I actually, the first Lord of the Rings movie I watched was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I fell in love with it.
How old were you?
I was like, I don't know, it was in 2003, I think, right? So I should have been like 12.
Did he recommend that because it had the most action and for as young as you were? Because I know like Fellowship is like probably the most boring like action wise.
No,
It starts off very slow.
Yeah, but like at that time we watched it in the cinema, so that was the only one that
It's just the one that was out.
Yeah, it was the only one that was out, and actually he wasn't a fan. He just thought like, oh, this one looks cool, so let's go watch this one. And
I was just curious because I'm trying to get
later.
I'm trying to get my kids
it.
into it, and I played Fellowship, and they all walked away.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, okay, Fellowship of the Ring is like, I am a huge Star Wars or Lord of the Rings nerd. Sorry, talking about Daisy Ridley, but no, like I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and like there are parts of Fellowship of the Ring where I'm just like, so.
Especially parts that weren't from the book. There's a lot of dialogue scenes where it's like this didn't need to be added, and it's very boring. Why would they do that? But
yeah, it is a slow movie. Actually, I'm ashamed to tell you this, but I fell asleep on the movie theater today. It's the first time I have watched The Fellowship like at least 15 times already, and it's the first time I fall asleep. Probably because I'm actually sick. I've been sick this whole weekend, so I didn't sleep well last night. But yeah,
he's got COVID and he went out in public with it.
No, I.
And this horrible cough.
I do not have. It's only like our 6th episode, and now we're gonna get canceled. Yeah. I went to watch that. The first movie I watched was the third one. After that I was blown away because it was my first ever movie at the cinema, and it was the first Lord of the Rings movie I watched. I went back, and I actually after that I watched the second one. And I saw The Fellowship last, so that's something that I did. I don't know why. I wish I could experience them like from the beginning. Like I knew Gandalf would come back since. I was like, oh, what do you mean he's dying? Like he's in all other movies I watched. But yeah,
watching Star Wars in reverse. Like, who cares if Vader escapes? He dies anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Also, I want to say on IMAX it looks awesome, but some of the scenic shots where they were like, where the camera pans out and stuff like that, it looks kind of blurry. Mostly because the screen's way too big for the movie they trying to show. At least that's what I feel.
They upscaled it for, or they remastered it for, the 50-foot screen, not the 500-foot screen.
yeah, and I'm sure I'm pretty excited about getting the Ultra HD disc release to watch in my house, because I'm sure it will look better on my 4K TV than it did in the actual IMAX. But I'm going back next Sunday to watch Two Towers, and the Sunday after that to watch The Return of the King.
Yeah.
And
please tell me, like, are people there dressing up? Are you gonna dress up?
No, I'm not dressing up, and nobody else is.
Well, then even better, you should dress up while no one else is.
I mean, if I saw someone dressing up today, I would consider it, but since no one's doing it, I'm not.
You need to be the person. I guarantee there's other people there that are like, damn, I'm not going to show up like this.
You'd get all the attention. Everybody would want the picture taken with you. It'd be perfect.
I would have to get a costume and stuff.
Just go grab a gigantic tree branch and just walk in with it. That's it. Nothing else.
Just 3 beer. That would be awesome. But nice. I love Lord of the Rings. And after, also, something I would like to discuss with Trey next week is I actually read the first volume of Immortal Hulk, which is, as I've heard, it's a very, very good run of that specific character, and I'm enjoying it very much. And it explores the fact that Hulk, as the name says, he cannot die. So it goes deeply into that and the effect it has on Bruce's psyche and stuff like that, and it's pretty good. I like it.
I've heard it's a good series. So.
Yeah, it is. So that's all I've been doing.
And I'm not used to us having a lot to talk about for the what we've been doing section.
Yeah,
This is
don't do
new.
that much stuff.
Usually we go around the table going, yeah, no, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, no. That's all right. Let's go to the news. I mean, we have to because there's not much news this week.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, Fred, what have you been up to?
So I actually have also accomplished a little bit this week. As far as new games, I was on, of all the places, Facebook Gaming. I accidentally clicked on the tab.
Does that exist?
As it all goes.
I haven't
right?
seen it for like 2 years.
Nobody deliberately goes there. I accidentally clicked on it on my phone, and like the very like top game, someone was playing, and I just caught like a couple 30-second glance at it, and then later in the day I was just like, that looked really interesting. So I spent all day arbitrarily Googling. It looked like Rust met, or like Ark meets Animal Crossing. So literally I spent all day like Animal Crossing type survival game and just like finding it. And I finally found it. It is called My Time at Portia.
Portia.
It is.
Oh, I know about that
It's
game.
pronounced Portia.
Is it?
I thought
I've
it was.
heard-
So I'd been
I've heard
calling it.
Portia.
Yeah, it's
Well, so
Portia.
No, I'd been calling it Portia, but in game, if you talk to the mayor clearly
Yeah,
says
yeah. I
Portia.
think he's
Oh, yeah.
actually the only one, though.
Yeah, I haven't
Oh.
played it.
Okay, I've only made it like a little ways into the game, so
Yeah.
Portia, whatever,
Mhm.
that game, and I've been playing. It's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
It is crazy fun, and like I was just looking it up because I wanted to know a little bit about it before I got on here, and I didn't realize it came out in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the sequel's coming out this summer, actually, called My
really?
Time at Sandrock.
yeah, but it's
Nice.
not going to come to. I was reading it's not going to come to like Switch and some of the other stuff until 2022.
Yeah.
I actually know about this game because back when Stardew Valley came out for the Switch, after I finished that, I was on this farm simulator kick, and I added that to my wish list in 2019, and to this day I haven't got around to actually buying it and playing it.
So
Oh, man.
okay, you said you were in a farm simulator kick. I just need to call out the fact that we hear a cow mooing in half of the episodes coming from your side.
I mean, it's not my cow, so I want to experience it.
Just as a cheap plug, yeah, My Time at Sandrock is going to come out, I think, in beta mode maybe this summer, and it is going to have multiplayer. It's been there's a Kickstarter for it, crowdfunded somehow, and it will include M-Player, which did not have in My Time with Portia, whatever.
really like it. Like I've only been playing it for a couple hours now. I'm only on month 1, day 18, I think, at this point, and I'm probably playing it all wrong because I get impatient, so I'll throw stuff into the kiln and then I'll go sleep for the day just so I can wake up and it's finished.
Yeah.
Probably not how you're supposed to do it, but so I've been doing that. A lot of fun.
So,
Highly recommend it.
How much actual farming is there? Because I know it's more about like building machines, stuff like that.
I mean, it feels kind of like Ark and those kind of games, like where I needed to build. I'm building a bridge right now for a construction project because like that's you take contracts to build. That is a big core thing on it is building, and I needed 100 wood, this, that, the other. So like I just spent the day chopping down trees, going into the quarry, mining. I mean, it's very Ark-esque in that regard, but there are contracts that you have to fulfill to get paid, because the whole object of the game is it's a survival-ish based game. You can kind of die when your health points hit 0, you faint and then you wake back up in front of your house.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty typical for farming simulation
that's,
games. Yeah.
That's a common trope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like it's very you have to go out and gather and build stuff and complete contracts, and you'll get random letters from the mayor saying, hey, Sophie had a fence blow down at her farm. Can you, blah, and it's a little quest to do it. It's actually a lot of fun.
Question: Do you is the farm handed out to you by your dying grandfather or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That is exactly it.
That's what happens in all of them.
Yeah.
Your dad,
Yeah.
actually.
Farm simulators have been killing granddads for about 30 years now.
Yeah, it's a pandemic in farming games.
God.
You get sick and pass down a farm. How it happens. My only complaint with that game is that compared to like Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons or even Stardew, the characters look very wonky. Like they look like they're maybe drawn by like Tim Burton. You know, they're very crazy looking.
Yes, some of them are. In fact, there's one person that I hate going through one part of town because she's always standing there staring at you, and like I don't know who animated it, but the eyes are not proportional, and she does not blink.
Yeah,
Like I think they just forgot to animate that. Like all of the other ones, they have somewhat familiar facial features. They blink and whatnot. Not this chick. She just stares you down.
yeah.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah, it really, for anybody wondering, it is on Game Pass and I believe PS Now. So if you have those, it's available on that. And it was actually an Epic game, free. So if you had Epic, you could have got it back in December.
I got it on Switch. It was on sale, and I used the Nintendo like points.
Mhm.
It was like 200 coins.
Mhm.
So like it was
Very cheap, and it got released. Not a lot of talk about it because it's a very niche market. You know, you got to be into those life simulator games. But yeah, it's very good.
I like it. I mean, it's perfect. Like for me, it's a perfect Switch game, and I've been playing it nonstop. And as soon as we finish with this, that's what I'm gonna go do.
And My Time at Sandrock looks like about the same in graphics, but a lot of improvement overall and like the other aspects. So I'm excited for it. I've thought about contributing just so I can get in early.
Yeah, after playing this and finding out that there's a sequel in the pipeline, I will definitely hop on that bandwagon because it's fun. I mean, it's one of those games that you can play as much or as little as you want. I like those kind of games.
Yeah.
I was actually talking with Lorian earlier, and I have a problem with games like Skyrim, Doom, all these other games. I get right up to the end and then I don't finish it. I don't complete the main campaign. I don't kill the final boss because I don't want it to end. And so I just have like hundreds of games that I've gotten up to like the boss, and then I won't fight him.
That's pretty common. I have that problem too with a lot of my games,
Yeah,
especially when they're RPG. If you have the option to branch off, I absolutely do.
Yep. So that's why I kind of enjoy these kind of games that don't really have an end goal per se. So yeah, I've been doing that, and then obviously Smite is always going to be on it. I'm working on getting the new goddess to diamond. It's my goal. I'm halfway there.
I'm thinking about making like a little clip that every time we mention like Smite, like it pops up on there, like, you know, like big fanfare, like fireworks and music, like Smite, and yeah.
Hey man, the game has been around since 2013, and it is still like one of the top 10 games in the world. So
I did get around to downloading it.
Yes,
you trigger a Smite discussion right now. The mandatory Smite discussion.
Yes, we have to. Now, I mean, like that's probably always going to be on my list of things that I've done. And then let's see. Nothing like fun and exciting to talk about. I got a new Mac for work. I've never touched a Mac. I hate Apple products. I'm sorry, they're too expensive for what you're getting. But I've always said that if someone would give me one for free, I would use it. And so I got my company to give me one. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not terrible to use. There's a bunch of like the little macros from PC or Windows-based computers that I'm used to that don't exist on the Mac, but I'm struggling. I'm not used to it, so I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out. That's actually what I'm doing right now while we're talking. I'm over here fiddling with it, trying to figure out how to use it properly.
I do have an iPhone, but my only experience outside of that with an Apple product is that my kids do have iPads for school. They're all given an iPad, so that's been their experience.
Yeah, and other than messing with this thing, just reading up on what we'll be talking about later. That's kind of the
The hacking.
Yeah. Oh, my AC went out, so I don't know.
Man,
who cares?
That sucks.
Thankfully, it's a good time of year for it to happen.
Yeah. Anything else you've been up to?
That is
on
it.
a roll. All right.
I know. Literally nothing at all.
So, like,
Unfortunately.
I haven't been up to a whole lot, but I have been playing, keeping in theme with the rest of our discussion. I've been playing Harvest Moon One World. It just released a couple days ago. It's pretty fun. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Harvest Moon, another farm simulation game, obviously, but it's not the same as the old Harvest Moon because the original company got bought and they separated. So the real Harvest Moon. I'm done. That's all right. We're moving on to clip shows. No, the new one's called Story of Seasons, and it also releases in a couple weeks. So there's 2 new farming games coming that are coming out. And I've been playing Harvest Moon One World, and it's pretty good. It's kind of a combination of Stardew Valley and a mobile game, which is the only issue I have with it. Graphics looks very poor, like you would expect from like a mobile game, cartoony.
I'm looking at it right now, and for like a split second, I was like, "Is this RuneScape?"
Yeah. It looks like it looks like it was done by like an indie company. But it's fun and it's very simplistic, which is what I like about it. And it still has the same Harvest Moon concept, which is where the emphasis on farming and expanding your farm, getting the animals, and then building relationships with the town people. The only big difference between this game and the previous games is that you can actually put your entire farm in your pocket as you do, and then you can explore the entire world and just drop down your farm somewhere else. So it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun.
So, have you played Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
Would you say it's better or on par with it?
I would say worse, unfortunately. Like Stardew Valley is way better than a lot of Harvest Moon games in general. So now, Story of Seasons, I like Story of Seasons. A lot of character development and interaction in that, and the game mechanics are a lot better. I think actually Stardew took a lot of concepts from Story of Seasons, which is the former Harvest Moon. That's really confusing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like this spiritual sequel.
Yeah, because it's by the original company.
Yeah, they took
all
name.
they took all the characters and then renamed some of them and redesigned some of them, but it's the same concept. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to. Oh, and then of course WandaVision, but All right, so WandaVision, we all watched it?
Yes.
Awesome. What did you think?
I liked it. It was not, the greatest, finale ever, but it was good. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was just a good ending. And I know that a lot of people, because I saw all the hate. I didn't watch it till last night, and I saw all the hate online because there were so many people upset about it. It was like Game of Thrones level all over again.
Yeah, I saw that you said that. What were people upset about? Because in my circle, everyone loved it.
Apparently, the people on like Twitter and Reddit and whatnot had these grand hopes of what was going to happen. Like they were expecting Wanda to tear open a portal and like Magneto and Wolverine to walk through, and that was going to be joining the two universes because the Pietro actor was the guy who played Quicksilver on the X-Men movies. So they were really like, that's what people were hoping for. I guess they were hoping that this was introducing and that
X-Men was definitely universe. Marvel's fault to have gone that direction and be like, actually we weren't doing that.
Oh, I mean, like they were so many people were trolling. I mean, even Paul Bettany, he had posted on Twitter, look out for an epic cameo from one of my favorite actors and all this stuff. And like, everyone's like, oh my God, who could it be? Who could it be? It could be anybody. And then, at the end of it, he tweeted, it's like, hey, it was me. Because there were 2 of them.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I got to act with this amazing actor I've always wanted to work with.
Yeah, it was like, oh,
and if you actually listen to the clip of him saying it, like it's very clearly he's talking about himself. So this happened weeks ago, so people had time to build all kind of crazy rumors and stories about it.
That's pretty funny trolling. I like.
Oh, no, it was fantastic. Yeah. And I think Marvel just took it and just went with it, and everyone had these huge hopes and ambitions, dreamed up, and then it ended how it did, and everyone was just like, wait, there's no Magneto?
Yeah, I
What?
know they also mentioned, like Marvel mentioned, this would lead into the Doctor Strange movie, which is called Multiverse of Madness, and now it is clear that it's maybe because one that would have something to do with that, but like people took it for like, oh yeah, so Doctor Strange is gonna show up. There's
Yeah.
gonna be multiple dimensions, and mutants will come back, and all that stuff, and basically the people are mad because what their theories didn't come to fruition.
Yeah, it's kind of
I'm
Star
just-
Wars all over again with like, well, that's not how I would have written it.
Yeah, but if you were paying attention, like, because people were saying like up to the point where the story actually got on episode 8, it was clear that they wouldn't add more characters or stuff like that
Right.
because the story had to end and it wasn't going that direction. So I mean, it would be kind of silly to think like in the last episode they would cram all these theories and all these characters or cameos, because it wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
I actually like a lot the ending. I think it was awesome.
Yeah, I guess I'm lucky to have not been around a lot of that buzz because I went into it with reasonable expectations and I got what I was expecting. So
Yeah.
the only thing I was a little let down by was the Vision versus Vision fight because it went really well for a couple minutes. And then he's like, actually, I'm not the real Vision. And he's like, wait, what? Okay. Like,
Yeah. So I actually like that because that discussion, like that discussion they have in the middle of the fight.
that's great. That's fantastic.
It was like the most Vision thing to do. Like it was very on brand.
Two AIs actually talking, and like the best part was the ship of Theseus, or I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's an actual like thing. They didn't just like make that up. That's an actual thing, and I thought that was really cool.
I guess what I meant by like it was a little bit of a letdown is more like I feel like that should have been 2 episodes where we got a little bit more Vision versus Vision because that was a pretty epic fight. And then in the middle of a chokehold, he's like, "I'm not the real Vision," and then they're like, "Let's elaborate." It's like, "Oh, well, I guess that's over."
I don't know. I actually enjoyed that part more than the actual fight.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then he leaves and never comes back. So
yeah, but like also like now canonically the Vision, like the real Vision from the other movies, is out there somewhere.
yeah,
That's what I gathered from it, at least.
right.
I just kind of like it because it reminded me of the Batman versus Superman. Who's just like Martha, bam, over.
Yeah, that's what kind of it felt like it was written off real quick. Like but I like the fighting and I like the dialogue scene. That was really good. I just wish it would have stretched it out a little bit more.
Curious, like what Agnes is gonna do. Not to like cut you off, but I'm curious how that's gonna play in because they deliberately left that like open cliffhanger there, so she'll be back.
Yeah, that's a very Marvel movie thing to do is to not end the villain, just be like, oh, still out there somewhere. So
So I'm sure we're gonna get more of her in the future.
I hope so.
She's actually I really like that character. Like she was funny. She was cartoonishly evil.
Mm-hmm.
Had this
Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, and I really like it. I hope she's back.
And the best part was she could acknowledge that she was a TV trope because of the nature of the show was that everything was a TV trope. So she was very Disney villainy, like, I
don't know.
Like that.
Yeah, I overall enjoyed this a lot. Like they wanted to do something different and original, and they pull it off, I think.
What do you guys think about Phase 2? Do you guys think it's going to be as successful as Phase 1 has been, or do you think it's going to kind of typical Disney fashion crash and burn?
You mean Phase 3 or is it 4?
I think we're at 4.
Already passed. It's Phase 4 actually.
Oh, it's Phase. Oh, okay. You guys know what I meant though.
Yeah, like the post end game.
Yeah, like going into the new.
Because now we don't have Captain America, we don't have Iron Man. Hulk is kind of a mesh between the real Hulk and some new thing they've done.
I mean, we may not have Black Widow. We don't know.
Right. Yeah. Although they killed off Vision and we're like, oh, Vision's gone. They're like, no, we brought him back. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's here. And we know, like, if you have seen the Loki trailer, you actually see a shot of her, so we don't know what's going what's going down there. Like if she is that some kind of illusion? Is she coming back? We don't really know.
Yeah, but like, do you guys think the next iteration or the next part of like the MCU is going to be good? Because I have a feeling it's just going to go.
Like,
bad.
what do you mean? Do you think it's going to be successful money wise or like writing wise?
Both. No, money wise, it's always going to be good. Disney doesn't do bad money wise, except John
it's
Carter.
got a lot of good faith that people are writing off of, and that's always good for a brand.
But like writing wise, because I mean, like the Star Wars ones, that's a perfect way to compare it because it's it's Disney, but it's Lucas Arts or it was Lucas Arts, right? Either way,
Lucasfilms,
yes, Lucasfilms, but like that had good potential, had good money behind it, and it was just horrible writing, and it was just they milked it dry. And
I just think leadership matters. I think Kevin Feige,
I think
it's already proven through 3 other phases that he knows what he's doing, and he'll pull it off. I mean, he's taken Iron Man, who was a C-level superhero before this, and now he's like one of the most well-known superheroes in the Marvel universe. Not, all due respect to Robert Downey Jr., who brought it to life, but I mean, like, somebody there had faith that they're like, this guy can be a lead character for a superhero that no one's known. Like Iron Man wasn't really a big deal outside of the comic books for there wasn't a lot of Iron Man shirts. You know what I mean? Like,
do you think they can continue it without making it feel like it's the same old stuff? I ask that because,
no,
Thor Ragnarok, they tried too hard with Thor Ragnarok because of the success of the Guardians movies, because they were super, there's a lot of comedy in those movies and people loved that. And like Thor Ragnarok, they tried way too hard to make that funny. And to me, it was just not good. It's like I see that happening.
See, I like Thor Ragnarok was funny.
Yeah, me too.
I think an example of the humor being adapted and failing would have been The Last Jedi.
Well, no, I mean, yes. I just meant with the Marvel movies, but
yeah, I think that as long as they understand that was a very niche thing, that Guardians worked because of the director, not because they could just throw it into every movie. Then I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I liked Thor Ragnarok as far as like a movie goes, but there were so many like cringe-worthy parts where they tried to make it funny, and the writing was just it was a funny part, but like it just wasn't funny.
Yeah, I think Thor Ragnarok had a lot going for it though. Like visually really great, story was really good. So I think the humor was downplayed as in like obviously it was a big part of the movie, but like there was so much other things going for it. It was okay.
I felt like they deliberately were like, "Oh, I bet we could squeeze something like a joke in here," and then it's like, "No, that missed."
This normal character will be played by Jeff Goldblum. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, like in that regard, fantastic. But like, I think the one part that like just like really missed with me was when Thor was trying to be funny while he was swinging around on the chains.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue like that where it's like, oh, hold on a second. Yeah.
That entire thing. I was like, that's very like if you were Chris Pratt, you could pull it off, but you're not.
Right. Although he has proven to be pretty funny, and I didn't take him for a funny person before. Like Thor in Endgame, not counting the fat jokes, I didn't really care for that. But like his humor overall was really good, and his humor in Infinity War was really good too. His actual interaction with Chris Pratt was probably some of my funniest moments from him.
He has a very good delivery.
Yeah,
his comedic lines.
I mean, he's a good actor.
Yeah, I am worried about how far these movies are going to go based off of like, because now we're to like the bottom of the barrel superheroes that we can pull out. Like they just introduced the second Captain Marvel, in the WandaVision show. We're stuck with Ant-Man, which I mean, great. Paul Rudd, love him, and Ant-Man, great. But like, who is Ant-Man? I mean? He's no Captain America.
Yeah, but at least. It's showing like they are trying to build a whole new roster of superheroes. Because if you actually see their goals, the movies that are coming out are basically new characters. Like they're getting out the
Yeah,
Eternals,
they're new
Shang-Chi.
characters.
They're like building this new phase based around
Yeah,
new
but see,
heroes.
Star Wars, brand new characters, whole new like slew of characters, but they just went back and redid the exact same storyline over and over and over again.
I don't think we have to worry about that. I don't think they're going to rehash anything.
Yeah, I think eventually it's bound to happen. Like they have had it too good for too long, to be honest. Like it's amazing what they have pulled off, and eventually it will all come crashing down.
I mean, yeah, they're gonna have a couple misses here and there. I'm just
we don't know when it will happen, but as of now, I trust they will try to do original stuff, like, because they mostly have pulled it off. So I don't right now. I don't see a reason to worry about, but I guess we'll see in about a year or so.
For me, this pandemic was a good thing that happened. But I mean, like, I benefited from it because, like,
what a good time.
Yeah, we all enjoyed it. Thank God for the pandemic. No, but like, I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of getting superhero movie fatigue. Like, they were coming out like every 2 months. And I was just kind of like, I got to get my kids into this stuff. We had to like catch up to the end game. You know, it was a lot of movies, and then they were coming out with these characters, Captain Marvel, you know, all this stuff. And it was just like, I kind of want a break. But if you get behind, it kind of sucks. You got it. So, and I got it. Thank God for the coronavirus. Am I right, guys?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think all the bad stuff, COVID aside, I think the pandemic has actually been probably the greatest things that's happened in modern history, because it's forced changes that we've never seen. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, and because of the pandemic, it has literally forced this tiny town, this tiny state that is so behind in technology, it's literally forced them into the 20th century. Yeah, they still have ways to go, but like, it's forced their hand. I love the changes that have happened to, you know, cinema. I like how Disney Plus has been doing stuff. I kind of like the experience of going to the movie theater, but like, I wish there was another option. I would happily like stay at home and spend, instead of, you know, spending $10 on the movie ticket, spending $50 to like watch it at home. And, you know, it's starting to happen with Disney Plus. Fortunately, none of the movies they've put out yet are worth the money, in my opinion. But I like that that's starting to become a theme now.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. You know, silver lining, I guess.
So overall, we went off on a huge tangent, which is fun. But like, what did you guys feel about the season finale? Like, was it worth it for the 9-episode buildup, or were you kind of like,
Yes and no.
Yeah,
it was good. It wasn't great. I don't think it needed to be that long, because at the end of it, you know, what all did we accomplish? Like, they introduced a new hero, maybe hero, you know, you assume, you know, new hero with what is her name now, you know,
Monica Rambeau.
Yes. So they introduced her, and you know, she's got powers now. They introduced, I guess, a future new villain or something. I really don't know what she's going to be, you know, like what role she'll play, because like, she didn't really give me the vibe of like super evil villain, just more kind of a you know, chaotic neutral kind of person.
About Agnes?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not too far up to date on comic books, so like, maybe she is super evil, I don't know, but like, I didn't get the vibe that she's going to be like a main antagonist. More,
she has been rewritten through the comic books a lot. She's been like a nanny, she's been like a guardian, she's been evil, she's been like on Wanda's side, almost like what's that woman in the Spider-Man universe, and she kind of controls different timelines.
Madam Web.
Yeah, she kind of plays that role for Wanda a little bit in some comics. So that's kind of the nice thing about having her on that show, was that she was kind of a blank slate. They could have done whatever, it would have been fine.
Yeah, like, I don't get the vibe that she's going to be some evil villain. I think she's just going to be an interesting new character. And
I like the setup of where Wanda ended up. Oh shit. I like how they set up this Wanda polishing her craft and studying more about this witchcraft stuff, and how this opens up, like, I don't know, future stories about her. And I don't know if you guys saw the post credits scenes.
Yeah.
So she is in this place, she's studying the book, and she hears the voices of her kids, which that opens up a lot of room for speculation, theory crafting, and I don't know, I just enjoy how she's not really a hero anymore. She's kind of something else. She's doing her own thing. She's not evil, or at least she's not a villain, but she's doing her own thing. And I can see this, like, there's a lot of potential for it to be used for a good storyline. And I like how this show was basically, it felt disconnected enough so people can just watch it. I know these are characters that have been set up for a long time and stuff, but like, it felt more like a single volume of a good run of a comic book. Like, I could easily see this being a volume of a comic book, one shot that people would recommend to me. Like, I like how closed off it kind of felt.
It reminds me of the Ant-Man movies. It's in its own little world. Like, it doesn't affect the whole world. There's no other Avengers helping out. And the villain just kind of wants something for themselves, not like world domination, you know?
Yeah, it's one power. Yeah.
Agnes just wanted, some witch's power. And she didn't really say for what. She just seemed power hungry.
I liked how they were setting up this thing where, she's going to try to take Wanda's power, and oh no, it's too much power. Well, I can hold it, and they were aiming towards that. Like, you think that was going to happen. That's a huge trope. That's really stale and boring trope that they do all the time. And in the end, like, no, that's not what they were going for. Like, they did something else that they set up during the episode, which you could see coming from a mile away, like the thing about the runes.
Yeah, because they really set that up for a couple episodes prior.
Yeah, I know, but for a second there, I thought they were going to do the whole oh no, it's too much power thing, and I was
the
like,
genie from Aladdin.
Yeah.
You want the cosmic power? Yeah,
and I'm glad they didn't do it, but I don't know, I like it. I know some people complain about the fight scenes because it wasn't really a show about action, but
they weren't big budget too. That was one complaint I saw. But like, what do you expect? They weren't...
it's a TV show.
Yeah,
and I like it because I don't know. You just need some action in your show. Like, it's been 8 episodes of mostly character development stuff, and it's good that we actually got some fight scenes to go along with it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I liked it overall. I think I maybe didn't like episode 7, which was the Modern Family episode. I think it was called Breaking the Fourth Wall, because nothing happened until the very end. And even then, you're kind of like, well, that could have been a scene in another episode. Like,
I feel like it was dragged out a little too long. Because like, everything that was accomplished could have been accomplished a lot quicker and didn't have to be 9 episodes.
It was all a setup for one joke on that episode too, where Vision, they're waiting for like this crew to go by, and they stop and do road work, and he's doing like the fourth wall breaking segment. He's like, wait, well, why am I doing this? And like leaves, and that's the end of the episode. It's like all that for a joke.
It was a weird choice.
I mean, that was the same thing with Pietro. All of that just for a boner joke.
It's true.
I'm sure like the people that are mad already took it personally.
Yeah, that was. They really set themselves up for failure on that one. And of course, we got a lot of very quotable lines that we're going to see. I mean, if we were still in the MySpace era, they'd be in the bio of everybody, like with the whole, you are my hope, you are my sorrow, most importantly, you are my love.
First of all, for my anniversary, I got my wife a WandaVision card, so I feel personally offended by your statement right here. I actually printed a WandaVision card for her for an anniversary.
He did.
Not really what I meant, but
He literally did. He sent it in Discord the other day. And you
so
just
predictable.
crapped
What was
all
it?
over it.
It's just
Literally that quote you just said.
was it really?
no, because that wasn't out already.
Oh,
Something like
I was like,
something-
man, that's a depressing quote to send your wife.
nah. It was something along the lines.
You're my sorrow.
Yeah, no. I mean, she is my sorrow, but that's not what I write. It was something along the lines of "You don't need to control my mind to make me love you," something like that.
Oh, that's nice. That's not bad. And you had the one from the episode 8 as well with the that was getting a lot of like love/hate on Twitter as well. The what is grief if not love persevering, I think is what the line was.
Yeah,
And a lot of people were like, that's the best line ever. And a lot of people were like, watch more TV if you think that was the best line ever. But you know, I could see both.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
sure it could be on a lot of,
like people are very nitpicky these days.
I
so.
liked the line. I didn't think it was a
Yeah.
big deal until I saw everybody quoting it
That's
online, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever."
That was WandaVision.
Yeah, so that was the end of that. I think
I would
we've
give it a
exhausted
solid-
that topic.
That's a solid 9 out of 10 for me.
The whole series,
Yeah.
9 out of 10. Okay, yeah.
I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Oh.
Wow, just to be contrarian, I was going to give it an 8. It wasn't quite Mandalorian levels of excitement for me, but it wasn't bad either. So like I gave it
I
an
haven't
8.
watched Mandalorian.
See, like I give like anything that's a 5. We also don't have like a good rating system that's like standard
Yeah.
between the three of us. Because like for me, 5 is anything that's like good that I'm glad I watched it. Probably won't ever rewatch it, but like I don't feel like it wasted my time. It's like a 5. You know,
That sounds
7,
about right.
Yeah, like a 7 is, it was good. If it's on, I'll happily rewatch it. I might put it on for background noise, but I'm not gonna like think about it. It's not gonna be a huge part of my life going forward. Like Game of Thrones for me is like a solid 10, even though everyone hated the finale. All 8 seasons like combined, some of the greatest TV I've ever watched. So like that's a 10 in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a 10? I've never watched Game of Thrones. I don't know. I find it very
really
hard
good.
for a show to be a 10. Like I have to go back and rewatch it, and I don't know if I would do that to any show.
I wouldn't say it's a 10 because the last season sucks, but I know Fred doesn't think this.
I don't
and
think it does.
it does. It
as-
does.
We're
It does.
gonna make an
There's no
entire
discussion here.
segment.
No, it does. Like you yourself have told me, like, yeah, it was a bit rushed, and that's
Well,
enough
no,
to
like,
bring
okay.
it down to a 9 at least.
I think they rushed like one episode on season 8, but you can't like because like 1 or 2 episodes were like subpar. It doesn't discredit the last 10 years of that show that we watched.
It does.
I can't wait to watch this show so I have any idea what you guys are talking about.
No, but you should. Like, I would recommend you watch.
Yeah,
it.
you really
Like,
should.
It's a very good show, and I wouldn't wish for me to not have watched the whole thing because
I've watched the first episode probably 4 times and end up my mind goes elsewhere, and I'm like, I must not like this show.
No,
I've tried.
You need to like give it a good, honest
Yeah.
couple episodes because it's one of those. I mean, any good, epically long series has a couple, has some build up.
Mhm.
It can't just launch right into it, and it's very Lord of the Rings esque, and how like the story just steadily gets like faster and faster and crazier. Because I mean, George R.R. Martin was obsessed with Tolkien, so like it's written and played in that way. But as far as the TV show, I still think Game of Thrones is probably one of the best ones out there because it changed, it set the bar for modern TV. I mean, like one of the episodes was like $500 million in funding. Like they set the bar crazy high.
Plus, I know that when TV shows were losing Nielsen ratings like crazy, Game of Thrones was the only one to continue to rise somehow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that says something.
I like it. I think it's a perfect show.
Oh,
All right, well, that was our Game of Thrones section.
I know, right?
3 years too late. Here we are, guys.
You know, like we're gonna get a lot of clicks. You have to clip this. Like it's very.
I still
Very
watch Game of
relevant.
Thrones clips. Like to this day, I go on YouTube and watch them just because it's
I like-
fantastic.
I haven't read the books, so I like to watch YouTube videos about the unexplored continents in the lore. So,
Yeah, so like
yeah.
if you've read the books, I mean, obviously there's never a good book to like movie adaptation or TV adaptation, but like I think they did pretty freaking good because I've read all the books except the most recent one that came out. I haven't read it yet. Excuse me. But I think it's really, really good. It follows them close enough. They leave out. Unfortunately, they do leave out stuff from the book that I think is fantastic, but it's completely pointless in the overall plot line of the entire show. So I understand why they left it out because there's no reason to put it in. So like, I think it was good.
I'm going to
Anyway,
keep this
we've killed that
segment
topic.
at the very end of the WandaVision segment on YouTube. So when people are watching it, they're like, what the heck are they talking about?
Why are these people talking about Game of Thrones? Why is this dude saying the last season was good?
We just got our show canceled.
Clickbaited.
Yeah.
I will argue that
I'm
the
going to put
finale
the
was
title.
good.
This is like WandaVision season finale review. And I'm going to start it out with you saying that the last season of Game of Thrones was really good. And then Rick roll through the rest of it.
Do it.
All right, so let's go to the tech section. We're going to talk about the global hacking that happened.
Yeah, so I've also noticed I start every single one of those with yes. So
Yeah.
anyway, the other day it was announced that Microsoft's Exchange was hacked by a. Oh, sorry.
For dumb people like me, what's Microsoft Exchange for? Haven't
Yes.
never heard of it.
Sorry, I had a Zoom pop up. So Microsoft Exchange, if you've ever used Outlook, that's what it is. Microsoft Exchange is a server-based application that large organizations host their mail and calendar service from. It doesn't sound very big and fancy, but when you think about how many people use Microsoft Outlook, it is almost every single major business organization, school, hospital, everything in the world. Almost everyone uses it. Even when you have your own personal domain, it's usually done through Outlook. So you're talking one of the largest core software components of every major business in the world. And the patch or like the versions that were out apparently had an exploit in it. And I'm not going to go like way off the deep end because it'll bore everyone. But essentially, they had an exploit where hackers could push Trojans or backdoors, or they basically could drop files through this exploit onto the Windows server inside of your, the Microsoft Exchange server inside of your organization. And through that backdoor, they could drop different types of malware to, further enumerate the network and continue into it. So basically, they found a way to open a door into your house, and from there, they could drop other things to further exploit your house and steal stuff. And anyone who is running that version of Microsoft Exchange was vulnerable and probably targeted. And currently, the count is roughly 30,000 US-based companies, and well over hundreds of thousands of international companies have been targeted. And it's been attributed to China. A Chinese espionage government-funded group has been attributed as the ones who did it. And they are basically, us in the cyber community are trying to figure out, is this worse than SolarWinds, or is it on par? And it's way too early to tell. I mean, we're still figuring out the damage from SolarWinds, which was another similar thing, but it's just with the Microsoft Exchange, it's more common. So it's probably going to be a lot bigger because everyone uses Microsoft Exchange in some capacity. Even if you're a small company and you use, Outlook, Cloud, Office 365 web services to do it, that's still hosted on a Exchange somewhere. So whoever's hosting that for you was probably hacked. And the ramifications of this, we won't know for a while. It all depends on how good your security is. And yeah, it's bad. Like, I don't know, most people don't really understand like the scope of these because it's not tangible. You hear on the news that like a volcano erupted and like killed all these people and blew up a country, and you're like, holy crap, that was bad. But then you're just like, oh, okay, Microsoft got hacked. Okay, and it's like, you're talking trillions of dollars, like potentially trillions of dollars at risk, because it's not just one person. I mean, banks, government agencies, anything like healthcare, all use Microsoft Outlook. And we keep getting lucky that the people that are hacking are espionage groups. They're after information, they're after the data. They're not after, they're not some rogue terrorist organization that's trying to, destroy things. So we've gotten very lucky in the fact that all these massive hacks are being done by government agencies that are just trying to steal info. But imagine if, I don't know if you guys remember NotPetya, the ransomware outbreak back in 2017. So basically, back in 2017, a hacktivist organization got their hands on some NSA leaked tools and released it onto the wild. And WannaCry/NotPetya was a form of ransomware. And what ransomware does is it takes over the server and encrypts it. And basically, they send you an email saying, give us, $1 billion and we'll give you the password. And if you don't, well, all your data's gone. And just like if your phone locked itself and someone changed the password on it, how would you get into it? You can't unless you have the password. And, ransomware is very destructive. It's probably the worst thing that can possibly get on a corporate network. Maersk Shipping Company, they got hit by it, and it did billions of dollars to them. They had ships that were actually stranded out in the middle of the ocean because their satellite uplinks were killed. Like the ships themselves started having issues because of the ransomware. I worked for a company doing the response on it, and it cost them upwards of $1 billion in lost revenue. I mean, it was so bad. Badge readers, the phone systems were offline. Hell, we had a refrigerator. It was a Wi-Fi enabled refrigerator. It was one of the smart ones that'll let you know, like, oh, it's time to change the filter. And it wouldn't work because it would cool.
Oh,
and stuff,
no.
But it was, the refrigerator was dead because it got hit by ransomware. Like, that's how crazy sophisticated this stuff is. And
didn't CD Projekt Red recently get attacked by that? Something like that? They took all the coding from all their game?
Yep. Yeah, and so like we keep getting lucky that like all these massive hacks are being done by, just spy organizations for different countries, and they're not being done destructively. Because
how do you know in this case that it was like the hacking was done by China?
So I'm about to like super nerd out here, but this is kind of what I do.
I'm counting on it.
Yeah, so just like any type of terrorist organization or any type of organization, people have kind of their tools, their tips and tricks, like the things they do most often. You can tell how. I mean, I guess like looking at someone who does like construction work. There are some people that are super comfortable using a hammer. There are people that are super comfortable using a saw. And you can tell based off of the craftsmanship, you can tell who's done what. The same is to be said about the, hacking community. There's different tools out there. And you can tell based off the level of sophistication, roughly where they came from. Russia takes a very, very, very silent approach. Russia doesn't like to get caught. So Russian-made tools, or Russian-attributed tools, are stupid sophisticated. You're talking FSB. I believe it's the FSB, or at least the FSB's arm of hacking. They have, excuse me, they have a tool a while back. It was called Hammer Toss, and it was this crazy sophisticated tool where it would, you would get malware on your computer via targeted phishing campaigns. So you get an email, and it was just like, "Hey Clay, I sent you blah. Here's a link," and like you'd click on it, or like you wouldn't even have to click on it. You'd open the email, and bam, it would download, evil stuff onto your computer. This malware worked by, it was pre-programmed to like beacon out, and I'm paraphrasing, so if by some chance some reverse malware engineer listens to this, they're gonna be like, well, he's totally wrong. Highly doubt they're listening to this though. But basically this tool or this malware would reach out to Twitter and find a randomly generated Twitter account, and on that randomly generated Twitter account would be a link to a Imager web page. So it would follow it there, and you go there, and it would just be a random picture. That picture had embedded code inside the picture, so you'd have to use steganography techniques to remove the code. That code, it was only alive for 30 minutes. So like the malware would get it, go there, get the code, and then the Twitter account, that Imager account, all of it would be deleted. The IP addresses that were used to access those pages, day of, were registered to random Russian front companies, and then the following day those companies no longer existed. So you're talking about every 24 hours when this malware would beacon out, it was having a company was being made, purchasing, leasing IP space, and then getting rid of it the next day. That is very expensive. It's highly sophisticated. Random kids in their basement aren't making this. They don't have the capability or the resources to do that. So you could just tell based off of the level of sophistication that it was very well funded, because that stuff is very expensive. You're talking about buying IP space.
Wouldn't, for example, China be able to make a hack and make it look like it was Russia, for example?
They could, but so this is where you start getting into, what they're comfortable with. The way the Chinese like to approach things. China is very sophisticated in what they do, but they take the approach of kind of a rioters in the street. They seize an opportunity and they take it, or they see an opportunity, so they take it. So they really are about kind of a smash or grab approach. They wait till there's an opening. They run in. They'll make noise. They don't care. They're just trying to see how much information they can grab as quick as possible and get out, which is why this type of attack is very, very indicative of something China would do, because it was a gaping flaw that was being monitored. Microsoft knew it existed. They were working on patching it, and then before they could patch it, they got popped. And that's a very Chinese thing to do. Plus the tools that were found, there are certain tools China likes to use. In fact, one of the tools, it's a web shell based attack, super sophisticated, super easy, and it's almost always used by Chinese government. It is their thing. It is so used by them. It's called China Chopper. That is actually the name of the malware that the community has given it. And if you ever find that on somewhere, it's a good bet it's China, just because they always use it. It'd be like walking into a battleground or a modern day combat zone and seeing 223 rounds or 308 rounds. American allied forces usually use 223 rounds. It's pretty you can make a safe assumption that whoever was firing with this gun was probably American or American backed, because these are American bullets. It's the exact same thing in the cyber field.
Maybe it's because I think so much a TV trope type deal, but I'm well, what if it was Tony Stark, and he's making it look like the bullets are coming from China when really he's having them smuggled in, and
I mean, there are things that like happen like that. And
you say things like it's really obvious because it's very expensive, and I'm just like, well, there's like a billionaire over in Russia who's just like, I got all my money from hacking. You know?
I mean, that does, sometimes happen, and like those hacktivists, they're hard to find, but you can I mean, it's just kind of like a cat burglar in like TV shows. Like they leave a calling card. It's pretty much the same thing. Or like if you've ever watched like Hurt Locker or any like movie that's got like a bomb maker in it, they're always like, oh, like this is a signature mate. Like this detonator is just has this bomb maker written all over because he always makes them the same way, and you can kind of tell because like China always takes a very loud smash and grab approach. Russia always takes a very, very, very sophisticated approach. And then when it comes to, if it's super, super, super high level sophistication, but they get caught, usually Russia. If it's just smash and grab, I mean, like China hacks into everything. I mean, they hacked into OPM. They're like the Chinese like J-10 stealth fighter is a literal like carbon copy of the like F-22 Raptor. Like everything about it is identical. It literally looks like it because they hacked into Lockheed Martin and freaking stole the designs. It's like, what are we gonna do? Sanction them again and again? And like they make all the money, so they're just like, oh no, shame on us. Because like we indict their hackers all the time. The FBI are like, oh, Shin Wu has been indicted on 55 federal counts of hacking and cyber terrorism, and they're like, okay, and we're not going to extradite. Have fun.
Yeah,
Like-
that's what I was going to ask about, because how come these countries do this, which purposefully and very clearly was made by them, right? And how come they do this? They do all this damage to United States companies, and is there retaliation of some sort?
Not really. I mean, that's the problem, and that's also starting to get into like politics as well. But you get into a problem where, what can you do? I mean, you're not going to go drop a bomb on a building in China or Russia because they hacked into something, because like people don't. That's tangible. Like, okay, they hacked into 700,000 American businesses. Okay, that sounds bad, but like no one cares. Oh my God, the U.S. dropped 1,000-pound JDAM on a Chinese building and like killed two civilians by accident. Oh, people all over the world would be so pissed at the U.S. So like, can't really do that.
Do they hack them back at least, or is there efforts to do that?
So this is on that line when it comes to America. The hacking capabilities of the U.S. No one really knows what they are. By that I mean basically anytime there's ever some major incident in the Middle East or the Pacific Theater, and it's some crazy outlandish hack that no one can pinpoint where it came from because it's just so crazy. It's one of those things where everyone just assumes it was the U.S. There's no proof. There will never, ever, ever be any proof whatsoever that the U.S. ever did anything. And if that's kind of like how they can tell. It's like no one else in the world could physically do this. It is not physically possible to do what was achieved. Then that means there's only one country in the world that could do it, and that was the Americans. And that's
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's
basically they have the best tools for it.
yeah. I mean, like I don't know if you guys saw on the news several weeks ago. Man, it might have been a couple months ago now. There was a nuclear engineer in Iran that was assassinated, and no one took credit for it. The way the guy was assassinated was it was a drone operated or a robot operated machine gun mounted on the back of a truck. The parts were smuggled in piece by piece because the customs and security there is crazy, and it was operated via satellite. So this robot with a 50 cal was rigged up to talk to a satellite with facial recognition software. So once it it facially ID'd the the nuclear engineer, it fired 7 bullets through the windshield of a moving vehicle, striking only him. His wife and 2 kids were in the seats next to him, and it shot him 7 times in the face. We might have to edit this a little bit, but you could everyone knew just based off of the level of sophistication. There's only one country in the world that can do that, and that was the Israelis. So the Israelis were like, no, that definitely wasn't us. But everyone in the world was like, there's literally only one person that could do this, and it's you. Like
this took a turn because I thought you were building this up to say like, oh yeah, it was the U.S.
But no, I mean, I'm just saying like there's certain things based off of like what's happening. You can tell like who did something based off of how it was done, where it was done. If someone broke into Fort Knox and the U.S. Gold Reserve and stole all the gold, you're not gonna think it's some random dude. Like it's not gonna be some random dude that like cooks meth in his like basement, Breaking Bad style. It's gonna be some high level funded organization that did it, and you can tell based off of what happened and how it was done as to roughly who did it.
Right.
When these traceless hacks happen, no one knows who did it. It's actually Costa Rica.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, it's the Costa Rican government. You don't you're not hearing this from me, but it's what it is.
This whole channel is just gonna go down tomorrow. We're like, what?
None of us are gonna. They're gonna arrest all of us. We're just gonna disappear.
The rest of this podcast is just me getting handcuffed and dragged out on camera. All right. So, on a personal level, is there anything that we can do to like protect our information from hacks like that happening?
So. Yes and no. Unfortunately, where there's the will, there's the way. If someone, just like your house, if somebody wants to smash your door in, they're getting in. I mean, if somebody desperately wants to get into your house, you could have a steel reinforced door and they could just drive their freaking SUV through your window. Like, if somebody wants in, they're going to get in. But you can do everything you can to make it harder. You don't leave your windows open, lights turned off, sign on the door saying, we're going to be gone for a month, by the way, our lock's broken. So that's where the best practices, don't use, because with this exchange hack, the big concern is they could put other stuff on there and they could branch out. They could, they only got onto one server, but they could drop Mimikatz. Mimikatz is a password scraper, and they could get your passwords, and then from there they could branch out to different servers and whatnot. And that's usually how it happens because no one changes their passwords. My entire job is paid for because people don't change their passwords. If every single person changed their password every 90 days, like we're supposed to, I would probably be out of a job. But no one does. I mean, literally, that's how almost every major incident happens is people don't change their passwords. Just like, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago, Florida, a water treatment facility got hacked into, and they tried to poison the water supply. And it was because the guy's username and password had been stolen back in like 2017, and he never changed them. And someone downloaded the password dump file off of some sketchy website and was like, well, let's see if this works. And that's literally how it starts. People go, they share these stolen username and passwords, and they get used by, script kiddies in someone's basement all the way up to the Russian government. So if you change your passwords, literally change your passwords, and more importantly, segment your stuff. Meaning, I have 3, 4 email accounts that I use. I have an email account that is strictly my bank's. The only things attached to those email accounts are my banking info. That is it. It has its own password that doesn't have anything in common with anything else, password generated. Then I have my personal email address that I give to people for, actual emailing purposes. I have one that I put on my resume that I put out to the general public. And then I have one for video games. And then I have one for just stupid things like Domino's rewards program. And you want to do stuff like that, even though it's kind of inconvenient, because it keeps all of your stuff separate. Because, if you have everything tied to one email account, I mean, literally, if you have everything, bank, credit cards, iTunes, all of it tied to one email account, all you have to do is get that one email password, and they have access to everything else, because that's your recovery email for everything else. And odds are you're using the same password for all of them. So change your passwords, have different ones, stuff like that.
My favorite part about these segments is like, not only is it our most viewed our topics, but like if people are just tuning in for the first time and they come to just these segments, you would think that we thought that like everything was the end of the world. And unfortunately, they can't see you. But for those of you listening at home, he does all these segments with a smile on his face, like the whole way through. Like he is happy to tell you that the whole world just had all their stuff robbed.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it. This is my job. I love it.
Smiling and
stroking my beard.
Yeah, stroking his beard.
And I know that this doesn't mean anything to you guys, but the gaps in between his sentences was literally him taking off his pants. That's how excited he is for this.
Yeah, topic. I don't know why this keeps happening.
I'm sorry, guys. It's what I do best.
No, it's great. Yeah, like I said, most people like listening to it, so it's good stuff. But
I mean, it's just like the medical world. Like every single doctor in the world is like, man, if you just eat right and exercise, 95% of your health problems would go away. When it comes to like the cyber world, segmenting stuff and changing your passwords, if you do that, like 90% of the problems would go away. And two-factor authentication. That is a huge one. If you have two-factor authentication and you change your passwords, 99% of the problems in the world, cyber world, won't bother you.
So I actually recently had a friend get hacked the other day, and somebody said on their tweet, like, if you use two-factor identification, not to use your cell phone is one of them. Is that true? Is that like a bad practice?
So that one is kind of a touchy, iffy subject. Well, not touchy, just kind of. There's a lot up there, like all up in the air for that. The whole concept of two-factor authentication, and I have to like nerd out a little bit, is just different levels of security. Most security is something you know, i.e. password. So when it comes to security, it's either something you know, something you have, or something you are. Something you know would be password or PIN number. Something you have is two-factor authentication. ID, if you've ever had to like badge into somewhere, type in a PIN. Something you have is the badge. Something you know, PIN number. Something you are is when you start getting into biometrics, fingerprint, your thumbprint scanner on your phone. Your phone's perfect example. Your phone has, potentially all three of them. It's got the phone itself, thumbprint, something you are, and then PIN number, passphrase to get in. Now, when you have your phone, that gets a little iffy, because if your phone is compromised, like if it's your phone that's been hacked, they potentially can get the code from it. If that's where you've been hacked and you're getting the code on your phone, kind of defeats the purpose. No one's going to carry them around. Like my company, we use, and I don't have mine close enough for me to grab, but I have a little RSA token, and you could probably like clip that in there. It's just this little bitty key fob that literally sits on my keychain, and it generates a new code every like 30 seconds, and that's how I type it in. And it's time. It's like time syncs, like the serial number on the back of mine. It's got the same like random number generator that the server has. So that's how it works. But you can't hack that. You're not stealing it. Or I mean, you'd have to like physically steal it from my body to use it. But with a phone, if you get, if you open up an email on your phone that's got malware on it and you download the malware onto your phone, they can potentially, steal your username and password because you're probably logged into, Twitter from your phone. And if you use two-factor authentication, they can probably get the code off your phone as well. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I say that's kind of an iffy thing, it depends on the app that you're using for two-factor authentication. And that's a whole nother subject that we could talk on for hours. It depends on how the app is encrypted. I know that Google Authenticator is pretty freaking good. It has its own like level or application layer encryption. So even if there is malware on the phone, they can't physically see it, because even though like when you open your phone and you unlock it, it's presented on the screen. That's just a visual presentation. The data itself is still encrypted, which I know that probably just like, but
that's okay.
Yeah. I know, like I went off on a tangent, but
all right, I think that's all we got time for tonight. I think we've actually went over like quite a bit. So I think we're heading into 2 hours actually. So all right, don't forget to find us on all forms of social media, especially Facebook, Twitter. We have a Twitch as well. It's all Into the Fatherverse. You can find us that way. Like and share this video. If you can leave a comment, and also on Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and what's the third thing that we're on?
Spotify.
Spotify. I always forget that one. Yes. Leave a comment on it. It really, really, really helps us. So if you
can send me $5, that would be awesome as well.
Yeah, that's the other way you can help us is by leaving a comment, sharing this, or giving him money. So,
yes.
Yep. All right. And we will see you guys next time.